Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Pagey here once again with another video on this upcoming DCU. So this coming week is a massive week in the realm of live action DC specifically, but just the transition of the old DC into the new DC under James Gunn, as we will have the series finale, the final ever episode for Superman and Lois, which serves as the final DC TV show ever on the CW, with us also getting the launch of the new DCU only I think 2 or 3 days later, I think it is, with the 2 episode premiere of Creature Commandos on Max, which was formerly HBO Max. And on that same day, at least in regards to like the calendar date of December 5th, we will have CCXP kicking off in South America, where James Gunn's Superman will have some sort of presence by all that is being said. Whether that means a trailer, that's another question. But it is believed that the trailer for Superman will be out sometime in December, most likely around the middle of December at the latest, though it could come out at CCXP. So it would seem logical, or somewhat logical, to maybe drop the trailer at CCXP as well, but they might drop something like a poster or some other like official first looks at other things regarding the film. And also there'd just be merch and stuff at CCXP where you probably get some looks at certain characters. And the first trailer might release like later in the month, like the week after or something like that. But of course, that's just a wait and see situation as a whole. But over the past week or so, we got some news and information and rumors around the upcoming DCU projects, both unannounced and announced, so we will be going over that in this video. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts, opinions, theories, predictions, all that stuff in regards to all this, news, information, and rumors going forward. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show support, drop a like, it takes 2 seconds. So the first thing to just look at and just mention quickly is, we'll just talk about CCXP and Superman and them two together. Well, a promotional poster was dropped like literally 10 minutes before I recorded this video, and it's an official one. It's an official Superman poster for CCXP, and just to give you the specific dates, CCXP is running from the 5th, as I said before, to the 8th of December. So I think it's the Thursday to the Sunday, if I have my dates. Am I correct in saying that? I think I am. I think that's the Thursday the 5th to Sunday the 8th. But as you can see here, the poster is of Superman stopping a runaway train. In the background, you can see the Daily Planet building. I don't know if that's meant to be Luthor Corps as well, slightly in the background there. It could be that building that has like a lean to it. I'm not too sure. But yeah, you can see the new suit there and everything like that. Now, this sort of relates to a newspaper image we'd seen, which shows Superman stopping a train. So I guess this is playing off that as well. I think we might see this in the actual movie, like a thing of like Superman's past actions before we meet him in the current day in the film. It wouldn't surprise me if James Gunn did that, even if it's like old news reports and stuff like that. But yeah, interesting. It's got the Superman logo there. It says a James Gunn film under it. Nothing of like a major note, but it's still cool that this is like the promotional part of the movie that's kicking off. But the next thing to talk about in this video is probably the core of the video. Not necessarily the most important thing, but it's like, I guess, time-wise. So there's a scooper on Twitter. I know, you want to be Pagey, you idiot. You idiot. Why are you talking about scoopers? Look, you do it because there's probably like a 50% hit rate. So Apocalyptic Horseman, he did, I think, an AMA on Twitter, or X as it's now called, and on the DCU Leaks Reddit account, they did like a roundup, because, I mean, I could have done it myself, gone to Twitter and stuff, but it's just easier for someone else to write it down and me just dictate it, just speak it out and stuff. But anyway, I'm going to break down everything that they said that's coming from their report. Some of this is interesting, some of it is news, some of it is just stuff that's already been heard, but it's just like, differently worded. So let's not waste any time. So the first thing that was probably the most interesting thing that they said, because it's a bit of a shift from what James Gunn had originally announced, but they're saying that the Authority will be an animated movie now instead of live action. Now, we know we're going to meet some characters associated with the Authority in James Gunn's Superman, and we were told that this was a live action film, initially back in, well, almost 2 years ago, pretty much at the beginning of 2023, when James Gunn released that Gods and Monsters Chapter 1 video, where he announced a bunch of projects, including Superman, Lanterns, Supergirl, all that stuff. Now, this doesn't surprise me, as it will reduce the budget a decent amount for this film, and this is, I think, the most risky movie in regards to investing money and not being sure how much it's going to return. Sure, you could argue that any movie is risky, and like Superman is risky, but Superman's also Superman. Like, he's just going to bring in an audience regardless of whether the film is great or whatever it looks like in the trailer. The Authority, on the other hand, even DC fans haven't heard the Authority, so that's a a big risk there. So I'm not too shocked if they did move it to an animated film. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they just discarded it, or maybe even moved it to be like a Max series like Creature Commandos, for example. But it being an animated movie, that swap, it wouldn't shock me just because of the risk associated with it. But then again, I also predicted that this movie might have been what James Gunn jumped into next. And I think if you attached James Gunn's name to it, it might increase, or it probably would increase the interest level around it. So I don't know, we'll wait and see what happens there. I don't think James Gunn has debunked any of this. So that's always a sign that there's maybe a hint of truth to it. The next thing is that the Sergeant Rock film, which is Luca Guadagnino, I think his name is, and Daniel Craig associated with that. This is like another like question mark, but this would be a movie that they'd be able to make fairly cheaply, I think, and make it into like maybe even like a borderline Oscar bait film potentially. But there's Apocalyptic Horseman is saying that this is going to film in the back half of 2025, which I guess lines up with the announcements and stuff like that. So that's essentially a year away, or maybe just under a year away, depending on where specifically they film. So yeah, that's lines up, I guess. Now, the Batman 2 is aiming a late summer 2025 filming date. Now, there's been rumors that this is going to get delayed and there's issues with the script and stuff like that, and people are saying it's going to get cancelled. They're not going to cancel the Batman 2. I know there's a whole thing about like greenlighting scripts only when they're good, but there's still like a time limit to get the Batman 2 done. Like, you know, it's I know people are going to say, oh, it won't come out until like 5 or something years after the original. That's fine. It's a sequel to me, but like maybe like it's like the age of the actors and stuff that you sort of want to keep, you know, somewhat consistent to following on, because I think this movie's only going to be like a year or two after the original one, like at least like timeline wise. So this once again lines up. There's nothing too shocking here, but it will be interesting to see more updates about this, just because there has been this apparent drama in regards to the script and it not being at where they want it to be and stuff. Now, here's an interesting one. So the Teen Titans film will apparently feature the cartoon roster. So as in, like, I assume the original Teen Titans cartoon from back in the day, like when I was young, like Teen Titans, that one. So of course that's Starfire, Beast Boy, Raven, Robin, Cyborg. Not too surprising they do that, because they probably want to be tapping into that, but also that's the cast of characters in Teen Titans Go as well. So it's not too surprising, because you'd be targeting two fan bases, the ones that grew up with that original Teen Titans in the early 2000s, and then also the people that like Teen Titans Go, and then also just the people that like the group as a whole. It says they are still deciding which Robin to use though. I don't know. Doesn't it just seem logical that they'd probably just use Damian Wayne? I don't know, that just seems like the logical one they would use, because that's the one that we know is going to be in Batman Brave and the Bold. So I'd assume that, but I know. I guess it depends if it's set in the present day, because we know that movies are going to be set in different parts of the timeline, like Sergeant Rock, for example. And there's another movie that we'll talk about in a second in this roundup of rumors and stuff that could also be set elsewhere in the timeline. So maybe Teen Titans is set 15 years ago or 10 years ago. So that might make it that it is Dick Grayson, that's Robin, or it's Jason Todd, or it's whatever. So that might be what happens there. Now, it says here that Lanterns will feature a flash forward after Hal and John have already met. Not too sure the context of this or exactly what it means. I guess just that means that there's a flash forward scene. I don't know if that's needed, especially because we're already having a older Hal Jordan. So I don't know. We'll just move on from that, because I'm not too sure exactly what that means. Bane and Deathstroke is not Secret Six. Will include several other villains sprinkled throughout. I still don't even know this movie is in the DCU. I don't think James Gunn confirmed it's DCU. It's still one of those movies that's just in development. And we'll wait and see what happens there. This movie could be one that easily just doesn't happen as well. Because I don't think it's greenlit. It's just someone's working on the script. This is an interesting one. The Arkham show is getting reworked, with Matt Reeves still being involved. And this isn't like this groundbreaking thing, because it was also said that, I don't think it was like officially said by like the varieties and the deadlines that said it, but it was essentially said by people attached to it, I guess, or people somewhat in the know back when that was originally announced, that was getting shelved for a bit, that the idea wasn't dead. It was just that the idea with the original showrunner and stuff wasn't working. And I mean, an Arkham show just seems like a really good idea, and it seems like a surefire hit no matter who's involved in regards to the characters and everything like that. So I'd be surprised if they just didn't go forward with this, especially if it is set in the DCU like we've heard it would, because it would just build the world out, and we just know there's not going to be, you know, 5 Batman movies in this DCU where you get to meet a lot of Gotham. So having an Arkham show would let you meet some, you know, different type characters that maybe wouldn't get focused too much on in a Batman film. The next one is that Peacemaker is setting up Checkmate. Wouldn't surprise me. I think it's probably going to lead into Waller, where Checkmate's probably a bigger thing, so not too much of a surprise there. Here's a very interesting one, because this has been a question mark, this whole property, I guess you could say, for a while. Like, since DC Fandom back in 2020, I think it was. But Apocalyptic Horseman saying that there are rights issues that may prevent the DCU from using Static, as in Static Shock, and I guess other Milestone Media characters. And this is most likely coming from Dwayne McDuffie's widow. This is interesting because there's just been a stalemate on anything like Static. You think making a Static, or what do you call a Static Shock movie, just seems like it'd be a decent shout. But maybe there are issues there, like whether it's money, whether it's control over how characters are interpreted. I'm not too sure, but that's a watch this space, because there's been a big question mark on that. But of course, James Gunn wasn't in charge when that thing was pushed forward, that like there would be movies and stuff like that around those characters. So maybe he's like, well, we've already got the Matt Reeves stuff, and I don't want this being a separate thing, so it's gonna have to fold into my DCU. But then none of these characters really I have a plan for, so maybe he doesn't really want to do him. I'm not too sure. And the last thing coming from Apocalyptic Horseman is that apparently a Clayface movie, or the Clayface movie that's being written by Mike Flanagan, who apparently will not direct it, he's just going to write it, but it's going to feature Basil Karlo, aka who turns into Clayface, in his 20s. So this could be once again another character or another movie set previously in the timeline. We know we're going to see Clayface in the present day in Creature Commandos, where he's already Clayface, he's a full-on villain, everything like that. So we might meet Basil Karlo 10, 20 years previously in the timeline, where we actually see him become Clayface, which once again, I don't know if it's going to be one of those like Joker style movies where it's like 60-70% of the movie he's not the villain and then becomes the villain. But we'll wait and see what happens there. But a lot of people seem to be excited about that. I think it's mainly the Mike Flanagan angle. But then again, it's saying that he's not directing it, so that horror angle, I guess you could say, won't be in it, at least from his side, like directorially. The next thing to talk about is about Creature Commandos, but multiple things from it, and potentially leading into Superman, and that is Alan Tudyk is confirmed for multiple Creature Commandos roles. Now, of course, we already knew who was voicing Dr. Phosphorus. It came out about 2 weeks ago, I think, that he's also voicing Clayface. We're just talking about Clayface, but he's voicing that Clayface we're going to see in Creature Commandos. He also voices Clayface in the Harley Quinn animated show, but he's going to be doing a different voice, like a more villainous, like grungy voice, I guess you could say, for Clayface in Creature Commandos. But it's also just been recently announced that he's going to be voicing Dr. Will Magnus in Creature Commandos, who is the leader or creator of the Metal Men. Now, this leads people to think, well, we might be getting a Metal Men show or movie. People think that James Gunn might be part of that, like directing or writing, whether it's a movie or a TV show for that, Metal Men project, potentially, if that's going to happen. But here's the thing, we also know that he's appearing in live action in a role in Superman. A lot of people are connecting the dots and thinking that it's probably going to be Will Magnus, and it seems that they might design Will Magnus off Alan Tudyk's look, and I think that's going to be the case. So whenever he appears in Creature Commandos, not going to shock me too much if he looks like Alan Tudyk in some shape or form or something like that, and then that's who he's playing in Superman. So we're starting to connect the dots a bit with the DCU and the transition, or the translation, I guess you could say, from animation, whether it is voice acting and stuff like that, into live action based off looks as well. So that'll be very interesting. The second last thing to talk about is Peacemaker. So this is about an actor called Brandon Stanley, who's been cast in season 2 of Peacemaker. James Gunn confirmed it when he was talking about the wrap of the show. So Brandon Stanley was one of the final actors to wrap. And Brandon Stanley previously on Instagram, he says he's been filming for 6 months, by the way. He's been there for the entire time, essentially, through the filming of Peacemaker season 2. So not just a one episode actor, he's essentially like a main character throughout the entire season. He did post this photo here where you can see he's getting a facial mold, which essentially they use to make like a suit or some sort of thing to put on your head, or like a mask or something like that. Though there's also rumors that he could be playing a VFX character as well. It does say he does write SPFX, which is special effects, which is different than visual effects. So visual effects is like CGI and stuff like that. Special effects is like this type of stuff, like taking your face and doing different things like that. Or they might create like a dummy of your body that maybe gets blown up or something, or has like half of the head missing or something like that. A lot of people are theorizing he might be playing Captain Atom. I don't even know where that rumor or theory comes from, but I think he's probably going to be playing some like weird, obscure character. And stuff like that. There's also the rumor, like, we also don't know who's going to be playing Peacemaker's brother. It feels like it's going to be one of the actors. I can't remember his name. He played the guy in The Office. I can't remember the actor's name off the top of my head, but he played the guy in The Office, Pam's boyfriend, whatever his name was. Roy. He played Roy in The Office. He was cast in Peacemaker Season 2. A lot of people think he's playing Peacemaker's older brother, which I guess lines up for the most part. So I think Brandon Stanley's playing someone else. Because it's Peacemaker, I don't think it's going to be anyone major. It's probably going to be some pretty obscure character from the DC Comics, like a deep cut that James Gunn can play with, that no one's really going to care about if James Gunn changes their origin or changes their story or changes the characteristics of the character too much. So I wouldn't be putting it, oh, he's playing Green Arrow, oh, he's playing The Flash. I wouldn't be doing that because I highly doubt that's the case. But then again, we might be wrong. And the final thing to talk about is in regards to Lanterns. And this is Tom King, who's one of the writers on Lanterns and also one of the people in James Gunn's like DC architect room. He talked about the casting of Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre and why they're perfect picks for both Hal Jordan and John Stewart. And this is what he said. I mean, I would say I'm over the moon, but that's not far enough for a Lantern. I guess I'm over Oa. That's pretty far. You should see these two together. They have amazing chemistry and I couldn't be more excited. I'm not allowed to say anything except that I can say it's awesome. We've got the perfect cast. When you look at Kyle, you can see someone you see someone who used to fly jet planes and embodies Hal. When you look at Aaron, his heart, his soul, and his strength are so John Stewart. He's so perfect. It's going to be great. So, of course, you just make of it what it is. That's for us to decide when the show comes out, or at least when a trailer comes out, I guess. Now, this is going to be starting to film in, like, I guess 2 to 3 months from now, because we know it's in, like, the first part of next year it starts. That's the same for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which Tom King wrote the comic for, and I'm assuming he's also a consultant for that film as well. But yeah, like, they're both good actors. Chemistry is a big thing. Like, chemistry can also be very subjective as well, because it also depends, like, is it chemistry in regards to a friendship? Is it chemistry in regards to just being on screen together and like a rivalry or whatever it is, or a bit of tension? It's a wait and see. But I know like both of these castings have got a lot of flack. I don't necessarily love either of the castings, but I don't hate them either. Like, I think hating them is a bit weird. I don't think there's anything there to necessarily hate them. You can definitely put question marks on them for various reasons, but I think we're just going to have to wait and see what it's like when it actually appears on screen, though we're probably going to be waiting probably like 18 months by the sounds of it to get that. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be awesome if you could drop a like and show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions and everything we went over this video. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.